What's going on, guys? And today I'm doing a video talking about a little bit about the Summer League and the rookies and second year players and whatever that are in it and my opinions upon them. So I watched a few Summer League games between Orlando, Las Vegas, and Utah. Mainly a lot in Orlando. I haven't watched too much of Las Vegas. I watched like maybe 2 games. I watched one in Utah of Boston, and in general, I think that all the worries and all the weaknesses and possibly even strengths that people mentioned before the draft are pretty accurate and are shown in Las Vegas and Orlando and wherever Summer League. Of course, Summer League is not the best bet to judge people, as there's been plenty of guys who have had crazy amount of success there and then turned into nothing, as you can see in Josh Selby, where he won MVP. Also with Damian Lillard in 2012 or 2013, and then Selby ended up doing nothing in the league. And then there's other guys, I don't remember someone doing really bad, but I heard someone mention that Draymond Green was actually pretty bad, I think his second year, and then look at him now, even though he's kicking people in the balls, he's still a pretty good and solid NBA player. So anyways, let's talk about some of the most notable guys. First things first, Ben Simmons. I think Ben has been solid. He's not the greatest, and you can obviously tell they're trying to build his confidence and strengthen these games, as I believe it wasn't the last game, but the game previous, where at 18 points, they lost that game solely on the fact that they were just trying to improve Ben Simmons, and I honestly think that's not a bad idea. I mean, it's the Summer League. Who really cares your win and loss record? Of course, it's nice to win, but the thing is, you'd much rather develop a guy than win it all. I think that's what they're doing, because the thing is, he still doesn't have a great jumper in terms of making it, but it does look like a very solid and smooth jumper. He just doesn't have much confidence in it, but everything else about him seems pretty legit. He's a pretty solid rebounder, very, very good passer as you see it, and even though his finishing doesn't seem that great, he's still a solid finisher and scorer in general. I think he'll be very solid. Give him a couple years to work on his jumper, and I think he really can improve that. He has a good foundation and good release and everything. He doesn't have a broken jumper like what Michael Kidd-Gilchrist had, where his elbow just almost hit him in the face every time he shot. But I think he's being pretty solid defensively as well, so I think he's going to do pretty well. Now moving on to another big guy in the draft, going to Brandon Ingram. I haven't watched too many games. He does look very smooth in his highlights stuff, but he doesn't seem to be ready for the NBA just yet in terms of the physicality. I think in terms of what's going to happen this upcoming year, he's going to have to rely a lot on his jump shot, and I don't know if that's absolute worst, but learning from there, going on in, isn't the worst, but it's also not a great thing, including the fact that he didn't look that great defensively in all the possessions. I know one of Ben Simmons, actually, one of his best assists was to Timothy Luwawu, who was supposed to be guarded by Brandon Ingram, but Ingram completely lost him on a backdoor cut, something that you can't let happen in the NBA, where literally Luwawu just jogged behind him and got an easy layup. I mean, Ben Simmons is very talented in his passing, but at that point you can't be that poor at defense. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Jaylen Brown, as, of course, the next pick in the draft, and he's, on one of my favorite teams in the Celtics. His jumper isn't bad either, but it just doesn't really work for him. He has hit a couple of threes, I believe, but the thing I like about him is his aggressiveness. I believe he mentioned he just wanted to dunk on everyone the entire time, and that's what it looks like. He's going to the rim very powerfully, and he's doing a solid job. He's not finishing too well, but he's getting to the line at a ridiculous rate. I believe the last game he played at 17 free throws, and I think that's pretty accurate to the guy who I compared him to, at least I believe I compared him to, where I thought he would be a Corey Maggette type. Corey Maggette was never really an elite 3-point shooter, but he was very good at getting to the rim and getting free throws. I think in order to be at that Corey Maggette level, he'll really need to start finishing more. I believe he's only 1 in 11 in the paint, or something like that, which is absolutely terrible. But the thing is, this is Summer League, and this is more based upon how they act and what they do rather than the true results in the numbers. So I think it's still pretty solid, a guy who's getting to the rim that much, and he's athletic enough and agile enough to start learning how to finish better. So I think for him it's pretty good. Alright, moving on to some other guys. So I'm going to start bunching guys together in terms of Dragan Bender and Marquese Chriss, and I think both of them, their weaknesses are shown more than their strengths, because if you watch Marquese Chriss, he's not the smartest player in terms of basketball IQ, and he's shown it a lot. I remember I was watching the Portland game And I was thinking about Jake Layman, the guy who they drafted him in the second round. I was like, oh, this guy's only shooting threes. I don't know if it's really worth it for that pick. Maybe if it's only for money, but if it's just to give up something in the future, that wasn't really worth it. And then he just ripped the ball from Marquise Chris and dunked on him. But the thing about that, even though it was incredible for Portland and for Jake Layman, I think it really showed how weak mentally Marquise Chris was. That after giving that up, when you go for the block, he legit just slapped him in the face. I know it wouldn't be a flagrant or technical because he was going for the ball, but it was just really a weird timing, and it wasn't a great idea foul-wise. So I think there's some questions on his IQ. I mean, he's been rebounding well, he's been very active, and for Dragan Bender, I think the strength and physicality is too much for him at times, as it seems like when he's backing down, he's kind of shying away from it, and it just doesn't seem the best. I've only seen one game of Dragan, so I'm not the most educated about him. I know he's been hitting threes more regularly, which is pretty good sign for him. But the thing about it is, I don't know how good he'll fit into the NBA due to the fact of how young and how skinny he is. Now, there might be other guys I'll talk about, but I'm not going to really stick to the draft too much. One guy I do like watching a lot is Thon Maker, where, of course, we all know he might be 25 or he might be actually 19. But he's been playing pretty solid as well. He did foul out of his last game and put up a solid double-double with 10 points and 10 fouls. But before that, even though he's pretty thin, I believe he's only around like 215 at 7'1", he's been very physical and he's been showing some skills. He's been getting to the rim a lot, and he got a couple games with a lot of rebounds. I believe he had a 17-17 game, which is pretty solid in Summer League. And I just remember one play I watched him. He grabbed the defensive rebound, ran down the court with the ball. This is all one possession all by him. Did a spin move, tried to go for layup, someone fouled him, and he had a solid finish, but I mean, it hit the bottom of the rim, but that was also because he was fouled on the way when he was trying to get up, and he just threw it up there. And I think that kind of shows a good sign for him. I hear that he has a little bit too much confidence in himself, where he's going to try that more and more, but in my opinion, I think it's better to have that confidence than to not have it at all. And so I think, in my personal opinion, I think Thon Maker looks pretty solid. He hasn't been hitting threes too much. I believe he might have one. I'm not too sure, but the thing is, he's showing that he can actually handle the physical game and actually be a real presence. So I'm not listening at the stats. I don't have the NBA website open, and also it's absolutely horrendous, the NBA website, in terms of getting stats. The NBA app on your phone, though, I'm not endorsed by them, but that's actually a very good app. They improved it a lot, because back in Orlando Summer League, it didn't work at all in terms of looking at player stats. It's not the greatest still, where it doesn't mention like the school they went to, it doesn't have their picture, but I mean, it does mention their basic stats or shooting stats. So you can go check that out. That's the way I get it, because some people were actually asking on some streams I was watching, or some threads on different websites, asking how they can see the stats or like their averages. And that's the way to do it. It's through the app. There might be other ways, but that's my personal opinion on the best way. Anyways, that's just something the guys I thought. If you want to comment down below any guys that you want to mention that I didn't touch on. I only wanted to really talk about rookies. I know I mentioned second-year guys, but all the second-year guys look really solid, so I didn't really feel like touching on those guys. So if you guys want me to talk about anyone, I'll do the best I can. Comment down below who you want me to talk about. Of course, it's someone I haven't really watched much or don't know too much about. I'll just plead the fifth, I don't think plead the fifth made any sense right there, but I'll just tell you I didn't watch him enough to talk about it, but I'll tell you what I heard and what I see online, and hopefully you enjoy that. So, and if you do, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, of course, to get more of these videos, and share with your friends, and share online, share wherever you want to. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching, and of course, have a good day.